Toastmasters meetings, we like to break it out into 3 different sections. We do a course review of the different roles that are going to be going on tonight. We do the prepared speeches section of our meeting. We do the table topics, which is the impromptu portion of our meeting. And we do an evaluation portion of our meeting before wrapping things up and calling it a night. In order to review the roles, I want to first hear from we have the timer. John, please. Please tell us about the timer role.
The timer, what I'll do is, on the set speeches, Diego, yours is 5 to 7 minutes. At 5, you'll get a green warning, not a warning, but a notification that you've met the minimum criteria. Halfway through between that and when you should stop is at 6 minutes, then 7 minutes. You get a red. There's an indicator to wrap it up at that time. There's other speeches that are scheduled for tonight for 4, 5, and 6, and I'll also be doing the timer for the table topics at 1, 1.5, and 2 minutes. And I'll be timing the speech evaluations at 2, 2.5, and 3 minutes as well.
Thanks, John. Sean, can you tell us about the counter and the boomerang roles tonight?
We'll be doing the counter roll, so I will listen out for non-words such as so, filler words, and keep track of that and give a report at the end of the meeting. Also, grammarian role, I'll be doing that as well. Looking for grammar errors, and then the word of the day is humbug. And humbug is something intended to delude or deceive the quality of falseness or deception. A person who is not what he or she claims or pretends to be, imposter. Something devoid of sense or meaning, nonsense. Excuse me. Humbug has been made popular by the story A Christmas Carol. And Ebenezer Scrooge is famous for using humbug. This is the use I found, and it's the most famous use, so I'm assuming it's good. Fred tells Ebenezer Scrooge, "A Merry Christmas to you, Uncle." Ebenezer says, "Bah humbug, what reason have you to be merry? You're poor enough." Fred, "What reason have you to be so dismal? You're rich enough." Bah humbug. I think everyone's familiar with Scrooge. So, humbug is, I hope we will use the word at some point in the meeting. It'll be fun.
All right, thanks, Sean. Susan, can you tell us about the role of the general evaluator tonight?
The general evaluator takes notes throughout the entire meeting, looking for ways to either to improve the quality of each section of the meeting, and at the end I'll give a little assessment.
Okay. Thank you so much, Susan. Okay, so we've gone over the different roles that will be active throughout the meeting tonight. And now we're going to transition into the prepared speeches portion of our meeting. I'm sorry, we're missing.
As table topics master,
Oh, that's right. My bad.
I will be giving an impromptu subject to each volunteer or someone who's volunteered. And as a guest, you can choose to do it or not to do it. So you're free not to do it if you don't want to. But it's an impromptu speech for 1 to 2 minutes on a topic that I have on this sheet, or something that'll come out of my head. And probably it's going to be a couple on humbug, so I'll do that.
All right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so now we've gone over. I'm sorry, John.
We forgot to open with the pledge.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Oh no, I messed up and forgot, but
Okay, let's turn our attention to the flag. I
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Now I think we're ready to transition into the prepared speeches portion of our meeting tonight. And our two speeches tonight will be me and Olivia. So I'm going to set up my presentation.
Okay, I'll occupy the lectern while you set up.
What was the quick?
He said so.
Jeez, he's vicious. Give me that cookie right now. Oh, jeez.
There we go. Okie dokie. Okay, can everyone see the projector well? Okay. My fellow Toastmasters and honored guests, my purpose for this speech tonight is to persuade you on a new mental exercise and to explain the efficacy of how it's helped me in my daily life, and hopefully the efficacy of this technique will inspire you and motivate you to also want to use this mental exercise in the future. I want to begin my speech by asking for a show of hands. Who here has felt an overwhelming amount of anxiety before? Okay, it's good to see that people here experience anxiety just as much as I do. You know, I'm feeling it a bit right now with giving this speech. And so I hope that the technique that I share with you all tonight will help you out in these moments of stress and anxiety. And this technique is called fear setting, which was introduced to me by a famous speaker and provocateur that you all know named Tim Ferriss. And this technique is couched in the philosophy of Stoicism, which emphasizes the importance of enduring through hardships and challenges and minimizing the amount of emotional pain and stress that you feel. So Stoicism emerged from specific thinkers like Zeno and Seneca, and it's been practiced not only by these ancient Greek philosophers, but through a diverse community of people, both in the past and in the current. For example, our founding fathers practiced Stoicism, and also important NFL administration like Bill Belichick, for example, also practiced this type of technique. And what fear setting is all about is focusing in on these moments of anxiety, these things that cause you fear, and it breaks down into the following 3 steps. So first you have to imagine the worst case scenario of something that's of concern to you. The next step is think about what types of things are within your control, what kinds of techniques or methods you can exercise in order to decrease the likelihood that this worst case scenario happens to you. And the most important step of all is now think about what things are within your control that you can do to minimize the damage that would happen to you if this worst case scenario were to happen to you. And this is an abstract understanding of this type of technique, so I want to now provide with you all a specific exercise that I use now with this technique. As some of you know, I'm interested in joining a doctoral program, hopefully this fall, in chemistry, and I don't have a bachelor's in chemistry right now. So the worst case scenario for me would be that I'm not able to join a program this fall. So that's the worst case scenario. Now let's think about what things are within my control that I can do in order to decrease the likelihood that that thing happens to me. What I've been doing in the past year, since last year of January, was I've been taking these chemistry classes and I've been performing to the best of my ability in these classes, getting A's in my laboratory assignments and in my lecture material as well. So that's the technique that's within my control to reduce the likelihood that this thing happens to me. Now let's think about what I can do in order to reduce the harm and the emotional stress that this would cause to me if this worst case scenario were to happen. in this situation that I'm not able to join a program in the fall. So the thing that I've come up with is I just got to take more classes, I got to get more involved with research, because I think these two things are what are really going to increase the competitiveness of my CV when I apply to the program next fall. So those were the techniques, those are the three important techniques about fear setting. Think about what's the worst case scenario. Think about what things are within your control in order to reduce the likelihood that that happens. And think about what things you can do to reduce the damage and the emotional stress that this would cause to you if the worst case scenario were to happen to you. Now, why is this technique effective? The reason I found this technique to be effective is embodied in a specific quote that is said by Seneca, which is, "We suffer more in our imagination than we do in reality." Our imagination is a really powerful tool that we can use to imagine ourselves into circumstances that are better than the current ones that we're in. Unfortunately, that same tool can be used to cause anxiety, to make us feel disempowered, feel like we're not agents of our well-being, of our lives, and it can cause us to imagine ourselves in conditions worse than we are currently. And so that quote I find to be really, really pertinent to this technique, and why I really think that this technique really empowers us to use our imagination as a weapon for good, as a way to make ourselves better and to inspire us to achieve these goals that we set out to do. And so I want to wrap up with this speech again with highlighting the three important techniques of this mental exercise that I hope I've been able to communicate to you on its efficacy and how it has improved my mental stress, my mental well-being. And that is, imagine what fears you have. What are these worst case scenarios? How do you imagine these worst case scenarios playing out? What things are within your control in order to reduce the likelihood that these things happen to you? And if these things were to happen to you, think about what things are within your control in order to reduce the harm and emotional stress that these types of scenarios would beget upon you if they were to happen. Mr. Toastmaster.
That was a fine speech by Diego on fear setting, 3 methods.
And final thing, and this is the YouTube video that I found, Tim Ferriss, if you want to look it up in the future. Yeah, okay. All right. Now I'm going to turn it over to Olivia for the second speech of the night.
And this will be her icebreaker speech.
Hello, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. My icebreaker, I gave it a title, and it's entitled Born Date, June 17th, 2017. I was about 4 years old when I can remember being in the nursery at my church. My mom worked there and I would beg her to let her help me with the babies. I finally got the chance to feed them, hold them, and even help put them to sleep. I grew up in Louisiana where my mother was a nurse and my father owned a residential and commercial construction company. At the age of 5, instead of attending kindergarten, I was tested, I passed, and I was offered the option to skip school. So of course that's what I did. And I spent the next year taking swimming lessons. Sometimes my mother would allow me to attend La Petite Academy, fancy name for a child daycare center, where I didn't take naps. But instead, I was allowed to help with those babies, changing diapers, preparing bottles, and getting them ready for their nap. Also, around this time, my brother, 4 years my senior, and I began taking karate and piano lessons. I stayed with piano for about 4 or 5 years. Bypassing some of the normal humbug, by the time I entered junior high, I was a tutor. Math was one of my then specialties. And I didn't do it for the money. It just felt good to be able to teach, to help, and ease the anxiety in others in a way that was rather painless for me. By the time I entered high school, my family and I were living in Mobile, and I was convinced I knew what I wanted to be. I want to be a psychologist. specializing in children and adolescents. So after graduation and a short sabbatical, I went to college to do just that. I received an associate's degree in psychology, but by then, well, I was a mother or two and decided, well, let's just get a degree that would be more lucrative while you work on your long-term goal to be a doctor of psychology. So I searched around and I decided to get my bachelor's degree in human resource management. I thought, I love the study of the mind, I love to help people, and I recognize that humans are the world's best resource, so off I went to Faulkner University. It was an accelerated program. I attended full-time and I graduated in 12 months. So there I was, armed with an associate's degree in psychology and a bachelor's in human resource management. Things are beginning to change, or so I thought, but they didn't. I still didn't feel satisfied, nor did I find the lucrative job that I imagined that I would. So it was decision time again, and I thought, I know, I'll get my EMT license. That's an emergency medical technician. I can really make a difference there. This field was in demand, and then, well, I did it and became an awesome, in my opinion, volunteer EMT. But where was the satisfaction? It still wasn't there. But I was working full time and raising 2 kids. So some years had passed and I had another thought. Because a large amount of the prerequisites for psychology were the same for nursing, I decided again, registered nurse. That's what I'm gonna do. So, a bunch of school, while being a wife, a mother, and working full time, let's just say I was pretty busy. Fast forward to June 17th, 2017. I always knew that this day was special. See, I have 2 cousins and a friend all born on this same day. So every June 17th, I always sing happy birthday to you to the 3 of them. Well, in 2017, June 17th fell on a Saturday, following a rather devastating series of events which left me feeling empty and crying out for help and for guidance. And then a voice spoke to me. My higher power, the God of my understanding, on June 17, 2017, at the age of 39, I was born. And I always knew that I wanted to help others. I've been a caregiver since I was 4 years old at the nursery in my church, right? And I knew I loved to talk. You see, I'm not shy. So shortly after my 2017 birth, I began to hear the voice again say, Olivia, this is your calling. This is your purpose. What? What are you saying? To be the voice to the people. By 2018, I got real serious about this thing. So I started searching online for ways to become an effective public speaker. For I wanted to harvest my God-given talent, not just speak a bunch of words, but to touch people's souls and to prick the hearts of those who would listen. So one website led to another, and finally, I found this website named Toastmaster International. I searched Toastmasters website and my heart began to race, my eyes filled with tears, and then on the website I saw a link that said, find a club near me? I figured this was too good to be true, but I typed in my zip code and I found Hilltopper Club. Could it be? Was it really this easy? Could I have found a place right here in Mobile where I could get someone to help me live out my dreams? Well, here I am. I've written my first sermon and I've titled it, It's in the Book. Church won't be my only venue, as my passions include the youth, young adults, women, and self-empowerment for all people. And I don't want to be just local either. I see myself as the next Maya Angelou. I've even spent the last year and a half teaching myself Spanish. So who knows? I'm just excited to be here and I'm looking forward to my future. All I can say is stay tuned, Toastmaster friends. I may be coming to a stage near you, and one day I may be the greatest show on earth. This is my icebreaker, my story. Back to you.
Thanks so much, Olivia. Olivia, I really liked the presence that you exercised at the lectern. Keep it up.
Oh, thanks.
All right, so we've concluded our prepared speeches portion of our meeting tonight, and now we're going to transition into the table topics portion of our meeting. Maurice, please come forward.
Do we have a volunteer? Going once, going twice. Okay. John. Give us your biggest or worst humbug moment in your life.
I've been asked to give my biggest or worst humbug moment in my life. I don't know that I've had something that monumental where I could classify it as the most humbug moment of my life. Of course, there's been several small humbugs, I guess, throughout my life. I can think of times where I've gotten a speeding ticket, maybe. That was a humbug moment. Said a filler word at a Hilltoppers meeting. It's kind of a humbug, very small humbug moment. I could probably go on and take up most of the time at the lectern tonight, but I think I'll stop at that.
Okay, next volunteer. Okay, Sean. I had it right in front of my face. If a doctor gave you 5 years to live, what would you try to accomplish? If a doctor gave you 5 years to live, what would you try to accomplish?
That's a pretty heavy question. 5 years would be Five years is a long time, I guess, in my opinion, but maybe not in the grand scheme of things. I would do as much as I could to spend time with my daughter and teach her everything I know and just share that time with her and my wife and family, friends. Try and show kindness and give back and show God's love to who I can, where I can. That's it.
Thank you, Sean. Another volunteer. Okay, what's your name again, sir? Kevin. Yeah, okay, Kevin. Okay. I gave John the question, what was your biggest or worst humbug moment in your life? What was the moment in your life, the biggest or worst, where someone humbugged against you? In other words, they poo-pooed on you for whatever reason, maybe what you did or what.
Okay.
Or do you want to change the subject?
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, okay. I'll give you another subject. Okay, which activities make you lose track of time?
Alright guys, my name is Kevin. I know that most all of you don't know who I am. I was introduced to this club here by Heather, and I'm glad to be here. And the topic was,
What activities will make you lose track of time?
well, one of my favorite hobbies is to read. I mean, I could read on and on forever. If I get really interested in a topic that I like, I can read for 5 or 6 hours straight and still the time would feel really, really short. I remember one of my favorite book series is Harry Potter, and I've read that, at least 6 or 7 times. And each time feels like it could be more. I feel like it could last longer, but I know it has to end. So
Okay, another volunteer, Diego. The question I tried to pose to Kevin, I gave to John, what was your biggest humbug, his biggest humbug moment? What was the biggest or worst humbug moment that someone, how do I say it?
Committed upon me.
Committed upon you.
Sean, can you see the humbug definition one more time?
My fellow Toastmasters and honored guests, the question that's been posed to me is, when has been the moment that I've noticed someone being a humbug upon myself? And I'm interpreting that to mean, when is someone trying to deceive me or come off as something that they're really not? And I gotta say, honestly, I can't remember a time where that's happened, and I think that's just, I don't think it's because people haven't been deceitful with me, it's just that I'm really dense. And I don't pick up on when people are deceiving me until it's too late. That has a lot to do with the fact that I think I'm very trusting when it comes to people. I try to give people the benefit of the doubt more 9 times out of 10. That's a New Year's resolution of mine. And so for that reason, if people have deceived me, I haven't noticed it until the worst circumstances. Like if it's been a work project that wasn't turned in on time, or a classroom assignment or something like that. That's when the humbugs, the people who are deceitful, they're finally made known to me. But otherwise I'm too tense about it, usually. I'm gonna turn it back to you.
Okay, we have one more volunteer. Okay, Donovan. Have you done anything lately worth remembering?
I had gotten the question, have I done anything lately that remembered? So okay. The question I have given was, have you done anything lately worth remembering? Well, it's kind of hard to answer that question, but if I had to choose a lot from the things that I have gone through. The thing that will be worth remembering is when someone is telling you you can do anything, that there was many fish in the sea. That it just told me that I don't need to worry with other people and be around them. And I need to take the advantage of hanging out with friends to help me to realize that sometimes you don't really need a companion to be with you. the best thing that you can have is your family who loves you. And I believe that my friend from school is what I will remember for my rest of my life. Thank you.
And that will conclude table topics, and I will relinquish the lectern back to the Toastmaster.
Thanks, Maurice, for the great opportunities to use humbug today. Okay, so we've concluded our impromptu speeches portion of our meeting tonight, and now we're going to transition into the evaluation portion of our meeting. Susan, will you please come and guide us through that?
Absolutely. Thank you, Dee. Well, I'm happy tonight to be able to do the general evaluation for the meeting. We started on time, I believe. That was a good thing. It was a tad disjointed at the beginning, but that's okay. It's okay to do the pledge. 3 things in, no problem. I would encourage everyone, even though I'm probably the biggest offender, to sign up prior to the meeting on Easy Speak to determine what roles you're going to have for the night. I want to just say a couple of things about the speeches, the prepared speeches. Diego started out very well prepared about fear setting. That's kind of an interesting title. Very interesting topic. We all have fears that come up in our life, things that we have to do, and we need to sort of cut it off at the past. So good topic. No use of notes. That's great. I have not done that yet, and I really enjoyed your presentation here with the computer. Effective use of the quote. I think we all kind of went ah when we saw that quote. And then Olivia, good to hear your icebreaker speech. It's always fun to get to know a person on their icebreaker night, and especially when it has to do with your calling in life. So wonderful, and about teaching and speaking. And it was very interesting the way that you did that you incorporated the use of Toastmasters in your icebreaker speech. And I was also very interested to hear that you were volunteer EMT, because John and I are also volunteer, or we were volunteer EMTs in Texas.
Wow.
Still have our, Texas license? Yeah. But we don't practice anymore, obviously. And I just love that you're a lifelong learner.
Yeah.
And I guess most of us are. If we're here at Toastmasters, we want to learn to be better, to do better. And during the table topics time, I was very impressed that Kevin, on his first time here at Toastmasters, got up and did a table topic. So thank you very much, Kevin. Appreciate that. Good to get to know you, and glad that, and even brave because Heather's not here tonight. So thanks for coming. And now let's do the reports. How about the grammarian and all-counter report, Sean?
The grammar errors, I did not notice any, excuse me, that stood out. Humbug was used once during Olivia's speech. And on to the word of the day. Humbug was used once on Olivia's speech. It was also used many times during our table topics because it was kind of the topic. It was used as a lot. The Oz, I'll start with Diego's speech. There was a lot of so's in there, and some of them were probably appropriate. There was a few that I could tell weren't, so it wasn't too many, and I just used John used an in table topics, and then Kevin used 6 us and an in there somewhere. And then I did not notice any others for the Donovan and Maurice. So that's mine.
Thank you very much. I'm always using so don't feel like the Lone Ranger, everybody. Next, we'll go for the timers report.
Yeah, I've got Diego's speech at 5:36, Olivia at 6:35. For tabletop, I was logged at 58 seconds, Sean at 58 seconds, Kevin at 118, Diego 116, Donovan 132.
Okay. I believe that's it for the general evaluation.
Well, there's two speech evaluations.
Oh, that's right. I'm so sorry.
Oh, that's
Oh my God, right there. The evaluator for the first speech, for Diego's speech, Olivia, is that you? Would you please give us a report?
I had the honor of evaluating Diego's speech, which was about fear setting. So at first, skepticism. What was the technique used to deal with anxiety?
Stoicism?
Stoicism, right. See there, that's where I was at first. I was like, wait a minute, he's speaking a different language here. But then you promptly identified what it was you were trying to say, and so thank you for that. Use good examples of how it related to your life and how you were going to use this technique for your chemistry, for the class that you were taking. It was loud, clear, precise, and then you won me with the quote. I just love quotes. So we suffer more in imagination than in reality. And then your visual aid was just awesome. So I like that you started out asking about, did a mental exercise, and you asked everyone to raise their hands, and you just asked for feedback from the audience. So you did capture my attention right from the very beginning. And it was a topic that I think is relevant to us all. So hopefully we all were able to learn something. I was definitely inspired by it.
Thank you, Olivia. Next, we're going to hear from, I believe, Diego, or are you going to do Olivia's speech? That worked out well.
Thank you, Susan. Hello, everyone. I had the pleasure of evaluating Olivia's icebreaker speech, and I gotta say, it's probably been one of the most entertaining icebreaker speeches that I've seen in my year at Toastmasters, so really great job there. A few comments that I want to share from the evaluation sheet are, for example, what are the strong points of the speech? I was really impressed with the diversity in the hand gestures. There was really good vocal variety, like when you said, I don't remember specifically what the quote was, but you said something that was evoking enthusiasm, and then you paused, and then you said, or so I thought. So I thought that was a really good difference. You were taking us on a roller coaster ride with your voice, providing some suspense and also excitement throughout the speech, which I think is a really good sign. Definitely want to see that in the next speeches you give, so keep up that good habit. I want to suggest one area of improvement is to decrease the use of your notes. Otherwise, I still think, even though you were looking at the notes in this particular speech, your vocal variety, your presence on the stage really made sure that that the connection between yourself and the audience wasn't broken. So I think the next speech that you give, if you continue exercising those same good habits without speeches, I think it's going to be a really great, memorable speech. So I think that's the next challenge that I would pass on to you. What other comments do I want to add? There's a question about opening, body, and conclusion, how those went. I thought it was really good that you opened with your background in your childhood. You were starting to learn what things you're passionate about. And then a good transition into the body of the speech was about Oh, I want to be an MT. Oh, I want to be a tutor. Oh, I want to become a public speaker. And then a good conclusion was talking about this organization and how you found it and how you're excited to be a part of it. And you hope that Toastmasters will provide the skills and the tools and the opportunities you need to become the speaker that you seem very passionate about. So yeah, I think the final comments I want to add are there's really good vocal variety and you have really captivating presence on stage. And I think all of us here are looking forward to the next speech that we give. I'm going to turn it back to Susan now.
Thank you, Diego. I don't believe I have any other comments in the general evaluation section. So I'd like to, at this time, turn it back over to the Toastmasters.
Thanks, Susan. All right, everyone. So now that we finished the evaluation portion of our meeting, before we close out, we're going to have our education overview portion of our meeting, which is going to be spearheaded by Don.
Thank you. This morning I was working out, so I looked at an article that interested me, and it says a greater goal, which I thought fits into our public speaking theme. So a greater goal has different meanings. One, it could help us, like for an example, from Toastmasters. We have a reason why we do pathways. Pathways is helping us to break down a big goal into smaller goals. So because of that format, it helps us to be influenced, inspire, and ignite. Because we kick out the goals that we have. Because those goals are very important to us. And also, goals isn't just about public speaking, it's also about other things. So I just wanted to end that for y'all to think that what type of goals that you want to leave and what legacy do you want to leave from this world? What do you want to do? It's big, and because it kicks out the routine that we have. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Don, for sharing that important wisdom about goals and how it applies to Toastmasters and also beyond our responsibilities as Toastmasters. Okay, now I'm going to turn it back to our acting president, Maurice, to close out the meeting.
Thank you. Well, since our Vice President of Education is not here, we can't give him the roles for next week. And there are no awards tonight, but I'm pretty sure there will be an award given next week. I'm pretty sure the person will be here next week who will receive that award. If there's nothing else, this meeting is adjourned.
So,
Thanks for having me. I had to give this to you. I didn't look at my notes over here. Should I write something in the book?
in the book?
How do you know that?
Sure, if you want to.
Okay, because I kind of jotted my notes over here.
Okay.
I think I put a few things over there.
Yeah, you put a few things down. Do you want anything else to